blanket, feeling cold against your skin. Running through the chaos, letting all the sin. Temptation in a bottle, ready for the night. Craving for the thrill, it's time to ignite. Dark desires burning bright, echoes in the dead of night. No retreat, no looking back on this heart attack.
Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? Good to see you for this Monday night. Nice to be back. And as always on a Monday, it seems like we get all the updates in the world on a Monday. Every single update to everything you've been wondering about seems to happen on a Monday. There is quite a few updates. Barry Morphew was arraigned today in court, pled not guilty. We'll get to that a bit later. We have a 14-year-old missing girl, Jordan Tobey, and she's missing out of LongBoat Key, Florida. What else do we have? We have a teacher accused of, again, a female teacher accused of SA against one of her students. Geez, I feel like we read one of those every day. And the special education teacher Linda Brown confirmed deceased. They found her body in the water, and they actually recovered her with a dive team, which is awful news. But we will also talk about that. What else do we have? That, and there is also a 2019 murder out of Palmetto that the person they think is responsible, the perpetrator, has been found dead. The victim was an 18-year-old called Jesus Molina, and I remember when we did the story back a few years ago, and now they have actually tracked down the suspect to Mexico, in Mexico City, and they've actually taken him into custody. So yeah, a lot of updates today, a lot of updates this afternoon. I By the way, if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I don't know how you feel this evening, but it can't be great after Aaron Rodgers basically, I don't know, limped home. That's basically the only way you can put it. I don't think he comes back. 42 years old, way outside of his prime, isn't playing like the, Aaron Rodgers that we all know. And I think tonight demonstrated that at 42, this should probably be the end for his NFL career, because he couldn't do anything tonight. He fumbled, he threw interceptions, he had a pick six. His final offensive play, if it is indeed the end of his career, will be a pick six, return for a touchdown, a pick return for the touchdown. So, uh, I don't know what you do if you're a Steelers fan. I really think that you probably need a new coach. I think Tomlin, it's time for him to go. There's only so long you can get to the playoffs every year and lose a game. Like, it must be very frustrating to be a Steelers fan and you're like, we're going to make the playoffs, and then lose. I mean, that must get very repetitive and very boring very quickly. So I hope they do it. Tomlin needs to go somewhere else and reinvent himself. He's still young enough to coach, but I think he's just so comfortable in Pittsburgh. He's just like, I don't care. We might win. I don't know. We might lose. Like, it just doesn't seem to be any urgency there to turn that team around at all. So I hope Steelers fans have a better year next year. And yeah. Yeah, he played like crap. It was terrible. Awful to watch. Okay. All right, let's do the one out of is it Manatee County? Yeah, let's go to Manatee County first. And I want to do this missing girl teenager bit of a strange case. 14-year-old girl, her name is Jordan Tobey. She's missing out of the Manatee County, but she was last seen in the LongBoat Key area in a place called Gulf of Mexico Drive. Shouldn't that be Gulf of America Drive? Anyway, family members discovered that she was missing after they couldn't find her in the afternoon, so they contacted law enforcement and they somewhat believe that she might be trying to travel to Georgia, that she might be trying to run away to Georgia. So gotta try and find this young girl. 14 is way too young to be traversing the countryside and trying to do it all yourself. She'll end up a victim of someone probably, and that's not a good thing. We'd like to bring her home. So let me play the video and then I'll tell you a little bit more. We don't have too much more, but I'll tell you what I have on her.
Also in the news, police need your help finding a missing Manatee County teen. 14-year-old Jordan Tobey was last seen in the 4800 block of Gulf Mexico Drive in LongBoat Key Town yesterday. She's 5'4", weighs about 133 pounds, and was last seen wearing a black sweatshirt and black shorts. Authorities believe she may be carrying a black backpack and traveling on a red Trek bicycle. Anyone with information is urged to call the LongBoat Key Police Department.
There's a photo of her. I really don't have too much more here, except for, like they said, she could be carrying a black backpack, might be riding a red Trek bicycle. I don't know how you get to Georgia doing that. Um, they describe her as 5 feet 4 inches tall, about 133 pounds, with blonde hair and blue eyes. And they're saying she was wearing a black sweatshirt and black shorts at the time that she went missing. And they believe that she could be traveling to Georgia. Why Georgia? I don't know. But it doesn't tell me why specifically they think she might be heading in that area. But I'll try and see what else I can give you. Uh, Yeah, okay. I don't really have much more. Um, I don't know where the Georgia thing comes from, but that is what they're saying. They're saying that they believe that that's the direction she's headed. I'm just trying to find if I can get to the Manatee County Sheriff's Office and see if we can, or the FDLE. Let me see if we can go to the FDLE webpage. All right. They do have her poster up on their website and it has not been changed. So normally when they find them, it will change to found or something like that. So the streak is broken right now. This one we looked up and she has not been found. Let me double check the comments. Ah, we do. We win. We won again. Why do they never publicize this? The story is less than 8 hours old. 54 minutes ago, she has been found and is safe. Less than an hour ago. So there we go. The streak is still intact. Ping is still apparently a good luck charm to missing teenagers because every time I look one up, they're always found within about half an hour or an hour around my show. Every single night it happens. It's really strange. But that is good news. That is good news. Glad that she's finally made it back home to her family. FDLE really needs to update their post if this is true. I don't know who Susan Faber is, but I don't think she would be lying. Let me see if she's friends with the young lady. Let me see if she's friends with their family. Hmm. it doesn't let me see. She's got all her, like, stuff, like, really locked down, unfortunately. I don't know, but I don't think this woman would head to this Facebook post and be like, "She's found," for, like, no reason. So, I'm gonna take it as a good sign that she has been located, and we don't have to look for her anymore. So, that is, disappointing because it means we don't have anything to talk about this particular one, but good in a different way because it means we don't have a missing teenager that we have to worry about. So apparently, she has made it back to her family in the LongBoat Key area. So there you go. All right, fine, fine. We'll talk about the other stories. Fine. I want to talk about Barry. He's gonna go to trial later this year. So I'm hearing it's gonna be, and now I'm gonna have a mental blank. I'm pretty sure it's like October this year. They've set it down for trial. He's pleaded not guilty, so he's now been through his arraignment. Arraignment basically just is your charges read out in court against you, and it's like the very first step in a trial or court proceeding. I want to actually go to for fine. We'll go here. Take you to News 9 in Denver.
Barry Morphew has been arraigned on charges he killed his wife Suzanne, but pleaded not guilty in an Alamosa County courtroom this afternoon. Suzanne Morphew went missing from their home in Chaffee County on Mother's Day in 2020, but her remains were not found for 3 more years in the nearby county of Saguache. Her husband Barry was arrested and charged not long after she was found. Prosecutors say an autopsy found a combination of drugs in her bones, including a powerful tranquilizer. They say Barry was the only private citizen in Colorado with access to that drug. He was also charged back in 2022, but prosecutors had to drop the charges before trial. Morphew's next court date is in March.
There you go. So he will be in court in March again. That's for a pre-trial hearing. That'll continue on until we get to trial later this year. That'll probably be one of the biggest trials in America. I would guess. I would say it's going to be a pretty big trial. Let me see. No, that's not what I want. Let me check here. Yep. So a jury trial is expected to begin in October. So that's when we can expect that. He will be back in court, like they said. That'll just be for the steps to head to trial. So there's all these different steps they have to take before you actually have a jury, and they work out venue and where they want to do it and what evidence is allowed, and there's a whole bunch of different things like that. So I'm just trying to see if there's anything else about his next hearing. I don't have anything, but it is good news. It just feels like far too long. I can't believe we're talking about something that happened in the height of the pandemic, and we're still talking about it today with no real resolution. Although we have finally found her. She is located. We don't have to keep looking for her. But the person who everyone believes killed her, like, we're still in the very, very early stages of the trial, and this could drag on. People are saying, oh, it's October. These things often get pushed back. So while like we can all cross our fingers and be like, yay, October, we'll finally get to go to trial. Um, it could very easily get pushed back to 2027. So there's things that happen. They ask for delays. He could change legal teams. There's all sorts of crazy stuff that could happen. So, um, yeah, I don't believe Barry either. Um, Kathy was here. Hey, Kathy. Good to see you, my friend. I hope your husband is recovering well from his surgery. So that is your update on that. Other than that, really not a lot to talk about. We could go back through everything on the sort of what has happened, but I think the majority of us have followed the Morphew thing over many years. I don't think there's a reason for us to go back. Um, Not at this point anyway. But yeah, he's pleading not guilty. That's unsurprising. What else was he going to do? Plead guilty? I don't think so. I think he thinks he'll probably win this trial and somehow get out of it as well, like the first one. So we'll see what happens when we get later into the year. And if we actually go to trial, we'll deal with it then. Okay. That's that one. All right. I want to talk about Linda Brown. So Linda Brown has been found, and it's really sad, sort of like what is the ending to this particular one. It very much seems like she fell into the water and died. And that is really awful. Um, the fact that her body's been in the water for quite a long period of time, too, since January 3rd. So almost 2 weeks, she's been most likely in that water. And, it's never nice. So I want to show you the update for it. And I can't imagine how much more we're actually going to see from this particular one. I reckon it's going to go, we'll get an update on the autopsy, and then we'll get an update like cause of death, manner of death, and then I think it's going to disappear.
Right, they are heartbroken, as you can imagine. We were all hoping Linda would be found safe and sound. Unfortunately, that was not the case. Her body was pulled from Lake Michigan earlier this evening at around 4:30. We were here as Linda's body was pulled from the water near 31st and Harbor. 53-year-old Linda Brown was reported missing on January 3rd after family says she missed an acupuncture appointment. For the past 9 days, family and police searched for her, mostly focusing along the lakefront after surveillance footage showed Linda walking across a bridge towards the lake shortly before she disappeared. Family says Linda had been dealing with mental health issues and panic attacks leading up to her disappearance. Tonight, family is extremely grateful for all the support from friends and strangers and are asking for privacy for Linda's husband as they all navigate through this difficult time.
He is beside himself. He is just very, very upset. Again, this wasn't the outcome any of us was hoping for, especially Antoine. He really thought that we would bring Linda home safely and she would be alive and well. So he is very deep in grief right now as well. He cannot. He's having a hard time speaking and processing his thoughts, obviously, why I'm taking over as the spokesperson for my family in general. But yeah, he's beside himself. He just lost the love of his life.
And because Linda's story has reached people all over the country, the family also taking the time to address some of the rumors and speculations they say can now be put to rest.
Antoine has always been innocent. He's never been a suspect in this case. And so I know there was information that we couldn't share where we had surveillance of Linda. So that's information that was not public until just recently. But
So talking about the CCTV, Rachel asked in the chat, how far away from the CCTV sighting did they find the body? Really close, not very far at all. So the CCTV, it was the 3500 block of South Lake Park Avenue. Where they located her was not too far away from there, if my geography is correct. They found her underwater in the 3100 block of South Lake Shore Drive. So really not that far away at all. So that was South Lake Park Avenue. Let me go over here. I believe it's like a block away, but South Lake Park Drive. I'm just having a look at the map. I'm just going to try find where the drive one is. Hold on. That's Avenue. Uh-huh. Lakeshore Drive. Okay. So she was found, or the missing one was from back up here, 3500 block up here of South Lake Park Avenue. And then the drive one, I believe, it should be right somewhere here. That's here, Lakeshore Drive. So it's like just down here. If that's the 3500 block, it's just back a little bit, and she'd be down here on the water somewhere. So really close to where she was last seen. Within what is it? 200. Yeah, within one, two, three, within 3 or 4 blocks from where she was basically seen on the CCTV. So not far at all, which would make it consistent with she was seen on the CCTV, went down to the water, and unfortunately somehow has ended up in that water and then has passed away. I mean, you can imagine how cold that water is in Chicago in winter. It's probably freezing. I can't imagine how cold it is. Hold on, Chicago water temp. So the water temperature in Chicago was 35 degrees. It's pretty effing cold. And it may have even been colder when she first went missing on the 2nd of Jan. It could have been even lower than that, which means it would be below freezing. And you're talking about when you go into that water and it's at that freezing temperature, it's minutes before you die, because your body goes into shock from how cold that water is, especially if you're not wearing a wetsuit or something like that where you can regulate your temperature better and keep thermal warmth. But when you don't have that and you're in like everyday clothes, maybe a jacket or something that takes in all that water and surrounds your body with it, it's very quick. It's minutes to death. It's not very far, not very long at all. So I would yeah, I don't think she would have been alive for very long if you go in that water. I don't know what the actual time frame would be for that degree, but I know that when you get down to that freezing temperature, depending on how freezing it is, it can be 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Like it's very quick amount of time. So he's doing really well. Okay, good. I'm happy to hear. Happy to hear his recovery is going well. Marlene said, "It's a beautiful place. I was there in the summer." Ah, I can't say I've been to Chicago, but not here. I've been to. I'm trying to look on the map. Uh, there's O'Hare. I think I've been here, like in the city, down in this part. Yeah, there's Willis Tower, down here near Union. So I've been down here, but not further south. I haven't been down in Douglas and Bronzeville and Grand Boulevard. I haven't been down in that way. So sorry about that. I can't tell you what it's like. Carolina said, "Ping, you know the guy that robbed Graves and had all the remains in his house." Yeah, we did that story like a few days ago. We talked about it. I don't think there's an update on it. At least I don't think so. By the way, I haven't seen my friend Woman of Steel recently. I hope she's okay. Weird for her not to be at the late show. You know, it's been I've had to decide that I can't pay attention to everyone's comings and goings anymore because it's really bad for my mental health to be like, someone's not here tonight. Why are they not here? Oh, I should worry about that. And it's driving me a little bit bonkers. So while I'll notice if you're not here, I'm trying not to stress about it so much when people don't show up. So I hope she's okay. I don't know why she's on here. But yeah. Marlene said, yeah, beautiful place. I bet it is. Danny's here. All right. Well, there we go. That makes it all better. Um, yeah. So very sad ending. I don't think any of us wanted it to end like this, but like they said, some of the theories that were going around that the husband killed her, and I can see how you get there though. It happened in such a weird time of night. He was the last one to see her. There was some strange stuff around her leaving that home, so I get why people put two and two together, but I also understand why the family was a bit annoyed at the speculation. All right, here we go.
Um, we've seen a lot of apologies to Antoine, but at this point, I mean, that doesn't really even matter. But I'm glad that people are seeing, who Antoine truly is, because that's not the person he is. And I'm just glad that the facts have been released, and now we can move on as a family.
At this time, the cause of death is still unknown, pending an autopsy. Family says they will let us know about any funeral arrangements in the coming days. If you'd like to see the family's full statement, you can head to fox32chicago.com.
Yeah, so I suspect that her cause of death will come back as hypothermia, and that'll be what ended up killing her. So that's what they call exposure to the elements, but the actual scientific one will be hypothermia. So she would have succumbed to the water and the freezing temperature. That's what I'm gonna guess anyway. Yeah, horrible story. Not the ending I think we were hoping for. I think there was some hope that maybe she was off with someone trying to have some alone time because of her mental health problems, and it just didn't end up being that, which you can't win them all, I guess, and that's very sad. So, an awful ending to really kind of this year's first sort of mystery. Our first sort of missing person mystery of the year was Linda Brown. So I don't know if in December we'll all remember, because we will have done like another 100 or 200 cases by then, but you should know that it was our sort of first mystery of the year. All right, one more update for this one, and then we'll move on.
Linda Brown's family saying they are heartbroken tonight. Linda's friends who stopped by the scene earlier asking for prayers for Linda's family, and Linda's former students now saying they will stand as a testament to her lasting legacy. Linda Brown's former students say she had a unique way of reaching people.
She just made us believe in a sense of hope. She just created a sense of community, a safe space within her classroom.
Linda was Renee Lopez's sixth grade homeroom and science teacher at Dr. Jorge Prieto Math and Science Academy, and she also taught his brother and 10 of his cousins.
We always carried a piece of her with us. We always reached out for advice, and she always had a safe space for us to be able to ask questions, to express ourselves.
Renee says he was the first in his family to graduate, and Linda played a strong role in that. Tonight, even more tributes pour out for the 53-year-old CPS teacher. Chicago police say Linda's body was found Monday near the 31st Street Harbor after she went missing earlier this month. Chicago's mayor on social media posting he is deeply saddened by Linda's passing, saying in part, quote, as a special education teacher at Healy Elementary, she made an immeasurable impact on countless young lives and was a vital member of the Bridgeport community.
although she's no longer here physically, her legacy will continue to fluoresce through all the lives that she was able to touch.
Chicago police say they are conducting a death investigation as Linda's family and friends prepare to lay her to rest.
There you go. So there will be a funeral for Linda coming up. I think there was a what do you call it? Now I can't remember. Hold on. There was an obituary, I think, posted. Okay, not an obituary. It was just an article. So no obituary that I can find as of yet. Come on, website. There we go. All right. What are they telling us here? So they said Chicago police confirmed Brown was located and confirmed police recovered a woman's body near Lake Michigan, near the 3100 block of South DuSable Lake Shore Drive, about noon on Monday. And they said the woman was pronounced dead at the scene. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office identified Brown's body and said an autopsy was scheduled for tomorrow. So yeah, that'll probably happen tomorrow. Depending on how that autopsy goes and what they find, I think that would depend on whether we get a statement tomorrow detailing her cause of death or not. If it's something clear and obvious that they can find in the initial autopsy, then they may release a statement saying it was this and X, Y, and Z. If it's more complicated than that, it may be like some other cases that we have seen where they're going to wait on toxicology to come back, and it could be a few months. So we will see what they give us tomorrow. If they give us hypothermia as a cause of death and then manner of death is accidental, then we can sort of put this behind us and support the family. If it comes back as hypothermia and then manner of death undecided, maybe a different story, and we may have more things to look at. So we'll have to wait and see tomorrow what they do with that autopsy result. Yeah, it was a nice thing people were saying about her, right? Let me have a look. Hey Texas, how are you? Good to see you. I think we can. So it like I said, it'll depend on the determination of that medical examiner. If that medical examiner comes back and, like I said, gives the manner of death, then we'll know. If they come back and want to investigate it further, that'll be a pretty good clue as to um what they think might be happening. Because normally when it's this type of death where they're pretty sure X, Y, and Z happened, they might have some more video that they haven't given to the public. And they're like, well, we can connect two and two. There was no one following her. We believe X, she got near the water. There was no one else with her. There's no sort of unexplained bruising or injuries to her. Then they may just label it as such, and then we'll know. So, but it'll be tomorrow. That is true. That is true. We don't. Gayla said could be misadventure. They normally use a misadventure for someone who does something deliberate. So misadventure is normally done for say someone wanted to enter the water, I don't know, because they were drunk and they were like, I'm gonna swim to shore. They would label that as misadventure. If they were like kids on top of a building spray painting the top and then they fell or something like that. They fell through a skylight. That would be misadventure too. But if you tripped and fell into the water or something like that, and you accidentally ended up in that water, it could come back as just accidental. At least I would think so. Yeah, she did something, so we'll see. Could have, being that it was that cold, what was it on that weekend? Let's have a look. January 2nd, Chicago weather temp. On the 2nd, it was down to like 26 overnight. That's pretty low. What is the Chicago link? Lake Michigan on the 2nd of January was half a degree overnight. Yeah. So that's pretty effing cold. Not quite freezing, but almost there. Yeah, so half a degree overnight on the 2nd. Better than the S word? Well, I don't know. It leaves the family in the same position. It really doesn't matter whether it was deliberate or accidental. They both lose the family member, and they still have to now navigate their life without the person. So, um, Gail said, "What's that in real temperature?" Oh, like zero. Sorry, um, 33 degrees Fahrenheit or half a degree Celsius was the water temperature on the night of the 2nd of January in Lake Michigan. So there you go. There's the Fahrenheit and the Celsius consideration. Let me have a look here. Who is emailing me? Okay. So yeah, awful. I feel like this year so far, while we have won a couple of cases like RJ being found, we've also had quite a few cases where the ending has been what we've not wanted, and we're on a bit of a bad streak at the moment with people not coming home, and that sucks. It really does. Let's have a look. I like this photo of her, by the way. This is one of the photos they gave out. And the reason I like this one is it's not very polished. And it's like the photo that a lady would ask her partner to take in the hallway after she dressed up for the evening. And she's like, I want to see how I look. Take the phone and take a photo of me so I can make sure I look okay. And I like that because it's just sort of a little raw. It's a little like, uncut, not polished, and she looks really good in the photo. But it's just sort of like a snapshot of what her life was like before all of this happened. And it's yeah, that's why I like that photo. Yeah. So there, I like that photo for that reason. But I don't like the fact that she's been found dead, unfortunately. Okay. That was weird. Thought someone was at my door. Espion said, yeah, I know. I think she looks good in that photo. So that's your update. Very sadly, she's been found deceased, and we'll see what happens with the autopsy tomorrow sometime. And we'll see if they even give us an update. They may not. I hope they will, but who knows? How long is a piece of string? Because they may be like, we've got more work to do. There's other stuff we want to test. We couldn't complete it all in one day, so we'll have to wait and see. But hopefully, we get a good update tomorrow. Okay, we got another story. It's this one. Um, Okay. So a woman was arrested back in 2024. She's a teacher. And you can guess where I'm going with this because we've done a lot of female teachers who have crossed a line. They've crossed a line in their professional, you know, position where they have decided to molest students. And this lady here, her name is Jaden Renee Charles, and she is alleged of R-wording a 14-year-old boy in the front seat of her SUV in a Walmart parking lot while two other students sat in the back. So she's not only an R-wordist, she's also an exhibitionist. And that she also claimed she was pregnant with the 14-year-old's baby at the time of the alleged R word, which occurred just after 2 a.m. on February 29, 2024, according to court documents. Two of the teens in the car claimed Charles had sex with the other students at Agua Dulce Independent School District, according to investigators quoted in court documents. So she was giving it out to all the students, apparently, and she appeared in court for a status hearing after being charged with 2 counts of SA of a child spanning 2 different counties. And apparently her case has stalled a little bit because her legal team is saying that they haven't received all of the discovery as of yet. So interesting. She's only in court for one county. The other county hasn't processed any charges against her as of yet, and they're still deciding what they're going to do. But I want to cover it because it seems like these bloody female teachers they seem to be the main cause of, I don't know what the word you want me to use, but corrupting youth with a position of power. That seems to be, it just seems to be these women. They keep popping up in the news, and it's like more women than men seem to be getting arrested on a regular basis for this type of crime. All right, I want to take you back to when it originally happened, and I think you might see her perp walked, which is always a fun thing. I love when we get a good old fashioned perp walk. All right, here we go. So
usually at 9:30 on a Tuesday morning, 25-year-old Jaden Charles would be teaching her science students at Agua Dulce High School.
You have anything to say at all, Miss Charles?
But instead of teaching on this morning, she walked out of the Agua Dulce City Marshal's office in handcuffs, charged with 2 counts of aggravated sexual assault of a child. That after marshals say they began investigating a vaping case at the high school. Marshal Joe Martinez says one thing led to another, and that's when the sexual assault accusations from 2022 surfaced against the teacher.
Miss Charles, nothing to say?
At this point in time in our investigation, we have 4 students that have come forward, and we have obtained the warrants. We still have probably 7 more to interview.
The city marshals then drove Charles to Alice so police could hand her 2 more charges, this time for grooming. Each felony charge carries a 2 to 10 year prison sentence.
We do have parents that were concerned that made some calls about their children being with a teacher. We do have video of the teacher with a student at one of the hotels.
Agua Dulce City Marshal Joe Martinez believes this is an airtight case.
Investigators believe that up to a dozen male students could have been victims of Jaden Charles. While she resigned from her teaching job at the high school.
Did you hear that? Up to a dozen students may have been involved. So, you know, we don't like to we don't like to, I don't know, sex shame people, right? For their sexual appetite or whatever. But this is different. This is against children. And you have to ask, what exactly did she think the school was used for? Was it used for her own sexual pleasure? Did she go there and go, wow, This seems like a swingers club I visited before. Oh my God, look how many young boys are here. Let me just take advantage of my situation. Because that's exactly what it seems like she was doing. She had three of them in an SUV, and she let three of them plow her in the back of it. What is wrong with this woman? One, you're old enough to afford a motel room. What is it with the SUV in a Walmart car park? Like, it's very strange. Again, I reckon there's some sort of exhibitionist type behavior here. And she's, 12? 12 kids from the school. She had on a rotation, letting them plow her. It's strange. It's very odd. Hey, good to see you. The Curveal, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. You'd be surprised how many are there in their 20s engaged or married and do this. We have done countless. I can't even remember how many. At least 50 in the last couple of years. Um, just so many. That's why I keep covering them, because I'm just like, it almost seems like they are now the number one offender against that age bracket between about 10 years old and about 17. The major offenders, at least in this environment, so normally a teacher or someone with a position of authority, I think it's women. I think at the moment it's women. Now, children 10 and under, I still think that's the majority. It's men. The statistics bear that out, that it's men. But between that sort of, yeah, 10 and 17, just women. It's really bizarre, and I don't look. I've said before, I believe it's been happening for decades, and only recently has it sort of been taken a lot more seriously. And boys are actually coming forward to report it, and taking it more like a crime, and less like a wow. It's a rite of passage for a young guy to hook up with his teacher, and I'm sure that used to happen all the time in the 70s, 80s, whatever. And I'm sure it was looked at in that way, that if a young man went to his dad and said, "Oh, this teacher is, I slept with my teacher," dad would have been like, "Good work, son. Here's a beer. You're now a man." But now I think we're taking it a lot more seriously, that while it's very easy to look at it that way, it shouldn't be different between girls and boys. And if someone did that to a 14-year-old girl, we'd all be out there with the pitchforks ready to hang them. So why is it okay? Why is it like okay for boys then? Well, it's not. And I think we're starting to see that change. And that's why we're getting so many arrests for it. And it's just, it highlights how many women most likely got away with it for decades. Imagine that, you see so many now. Imagine how many slipped under the radar, were never reported, all that type of thing. It's got to be hundreds, thousands maybe, that just, they took it as sort of like a, all young guys do that, and it never got reported. And I think now we're starting to see it. So, yeah, I'm interested. I wonder how many we never caught, and it's got to be a lot. So, yeah, it's really, really strange. I hope someone out there in a university is doing a study, like a criminology study on female sexual predators, because I think we focused a lot on men, and we don't know as much about the female side and what drives them. I think we know what drives the men. There's been a lot of studies in it, but I don't think we know a lot about the women and why they do it, and why this particular age group between 10 and about 17, never younger than that. And I wonder if it's got something to do with sexual maturity, as where women tend to target young people who are already sexually mature, and as where men, when they target children, tend to target prepubescent children, and maybe that's the difference between the two. But yeah, it's awful. Curviel says there is a recent one out of Tampa where the father is being charged as well because he knew and didn't report it. It was his son and a teacher. I think we did that one. That was a long-ranging one where the son actually moved in with the teacher for a period of time. And then when the children were living with the teacher, the younger sister caught her brother in the teacher's bedroom, basically hooking up. And I think they had a child, and they had a kid, and the boy's father ended up commenting something like, "Geez, that kid looks like my son." And then he figured it out that it was actually, his son's child, and that this teacher had been taking advantage of this living arrangement. It's one of the craziest cases. It might not be the one you're thinking of, but um, I'll find it. Hold on, one second. Let me see if I can find it. It is. Is it this one? It is this one. Her name is Laura Karen, and she is from Middle Township Elementary School number 2. This is in New Jersey, sorry, not Florida, but her name is Laura Karen. And she's been in the news recently because her trial was earlier in 2025. Yeah, I'll play you the little thing about it. If you've never heard of this case, it's one of the most twisted ones I think I've ever heard of.
She was trusted by the school district and by parents. But tonight, a 5th grade teacher in Cape May Courthouse is accused of having a sexual relationship with one of her students. Detectives say the abuse started when the child was 11 and lasted for years, and that the two share a child. Wednesday night, I'm Shari Williams. Rick has the night off. The big story on Action News tonight is a South Jersey teacher behind bars accused of sexually assaulting a young boy and having a child with him. Action News reporter Leland Pender has the story from Cape May County, and detectives say the investigation is far from over.
Middle Township Police and the Cape May County Prosecutor's Office both investigating here. Prosecutors say these alleged crimes occurred between 2016 and 2020, but the arrests just coming Wednesday. They're now asking anyone that might have even more information to please come forward. Once a 5th grade teacher, now behind bars with bond revoked. 34-year-old Laura Karen was taken into custody at a home on Orbit Drive Wednesday in Cape May Courthouse. Prosecutors allege she sexually assaulted a former student for several years and had his baby.
Do you know Miss Karen? There's nothing to see here. There's no one that wants to speak with you.
This unidentified man pulled up to the home while we were there. A short time later, another woman appeared from the home after we'd already left.
Do you want to talk to us?
No, I want you to
You came outside. Please, I'm willing to talk to you. Authorities say the abuse began when the victim was 11 years old. According to the criminal complaint, a few years later, Karen gave birth to the victim's baby. Karen taught at Middle Township Elementary number 2, and the victim was once her student. Prosecutors say Karen and the victim's family became friends, leading to the victim and his siblings staying overnight with Karen once or twice a week, but at some point they began living with Karen permanently. Investigators say the case came to light last month when the victim's father posted on social media saying Karen's 5-year-old child looked very similar to him and his son. Neighbors say the arrest Wednesday appeared discreet. This woman said she saw multiple black SUVs but didn't realize they were police.
Yeah, so at some point the families became like friends to the point where the family trusted the teacher, and they had a younger daughter and the boy, and both of them would stay over at the teacher's home, and this happened for like a long period of time. And like I said, the little sister caught her brother multiple times in the teacher's bed at night. So they would put the little girl to bed and then pretend that the boy would go to bed too. And the little girl woke up in the middle of the night having to use the bathroom, and she went in the wrong door. Instead of going into the bathroom, she went into the bedroom of the teacher and found her brother and the teacher having sexual intercourse. And yeah, she ended up giving birth to a child, and the child ended up being fathered by that other child. And yeah, the way it was found out, the dad basically saw a likeness in her child and was like, wow, that looks like my son when he was like younger. And then he figured it out, and it clicked that she had been doing that with the child when they were sleeping over at the home. So it's crazy. I can't quantify why there's so many of these going around. I'm sure someone who's smarter than me would know. Hey, WM8982, 400,000 plus missing children in 2024, 500,000 this year, just a consequence of the supply and demand culture of capitalism where a child can be traded. There was an operation just before December in the southern half of the US where it was like multiple agencies. They actually tried to reduce their list of missing children, and they recovered 100 children from either parents who had taken, like parents who didn't have custody and had taken the child anyway, children who were trafficked, or children who were in vulnerable situations living with people who were not the parent. And they actually recovered 100 children, and that was about a month ago. It was a huge operation. I think it was out of Florida, Georgia, and Tennessee. I might be wrong about that, but I'd have to double check. But there was a massive operation to try and get these kids back. Okay. I don't know what that means, but sure. I believe you. Let's see. So yeah, this lady that we're talking about before we got sidetracked, she's been in court this it was last week, late last week, and they are putting her up on those charges of abusing these children at the school. And like someone else said in the comment, she almost sounded like word had got around and that she had become the school bike, which is a horrible metaphor or whatever. But it's an easy way of giving you the image of what was going on in the school. I mean, horrible. The 12 students, like she had a roster of students who she was having sex with and abusing. I mean, she deserves nothing but jail. Nothing but jail. I mean, so her name is Jaden Renee Charles. That is out of Texas. So, she could get the death penalty. I think you can in Texas for a capital offense that involves a minor and a sex crime. I think you can get the death sentence. Let me double check what charges she's on, and then I will confirm to you. So she was 24 at the time when she was abusing these children. One was a 14-year-old boy, one was a 16-year-old boy, and one was a 15-year-old girl. And they saying here, yeah, so listen to this. While in the SUV in the parking lot, it states that she tied a blanket around the front seat's headrest of her SUV and had sex with the 14-year-old boy in the front seat while the other two teens sat in the back and just watched. Crazy, crazy. Let me see what her charges are. Oh, it's not giving me the individual charges. So she's got, okay. She's being charged with 2 counts of essay of a child. Yes. I don't want to put that into Google. I don't want to end up on a watch list, but I'm pretty sure that you can get pretty hefty sentences out of Texas for crimes like that. Uh, Crimes against children is actually one of the multipliers, or what they call like egregious sentencing. So she could be in for a very hard time should she be convicted. Right now, they're trying to get her to trial. So they're actually stalled a little bit in her court progress. Just trying to get that for you. Hold on. Yeah, her case was stalled after her lawyer told the judge that he had only just received the evidence in the case. So they've pushed it back now, and her next hearing is in April. So she won't go back to court until April. She was actually supposed to start her sort of trial at the beginning of the year. But because her lawyer is basically saying, I just came onto the case and I don't have all the information, they're giving her more time to get her legal representation sorted out. So we'll see what happens in a couple of months with her. Hey Eric, good to see you. Well, you might be right about that, Eric. You might be right. I get what you mean. You're saying like if it was a guy who did it to a young girl, maybe that would happen, but because it's a female doing it to a young person like a boy, that they'll just like give her a slap on the wrist. And that is a good point. That is something I have seen a lot of, especially when these people, these women who do these crimes are sentenced, that the sentencing is not comparable to the male counterpart. And that if the male counterpart did it, they would be looking at like 12 years in prison, having to be on an offender register for life. And often when the women do it, they're like 18 months suspended sentence and no, you don't have to register as a offender and all that type of thing. Often it happens often, and that is a disparity against male and female offending, and why we have that gap between the two, why the courts sometimes think it's socially and criminally you know acceptable to sentence male and female counterparts differently for the same crime just because it happened to a boy and not a girl is it's something we need to change, because we got to stop thinking of boys as not as valuable as girls. And we often have this sort of like protectionism over young females. And we're sort of like, whoa, look at the damage you did to this young female. She's made out of gold. Wow, we're going to give you 15 years in prison for that. If you did it to the young boy, they'd be like, we got a lot of young boys. This is fine. Well, we got heaps more. We got like 5,000 of them. Don't worry about it. It's all good. And you're a girl. It's fine. It is sort of like it is a little sexist. It is the fact that these sentencing requirements end up being like really minimized for these female offenders, and it sort of has to stop. You have to sentence people fairly. So, Gail said, I don't care who does it. It was girls and boys. Right. I agree with you. Marlene says, Pam Smart got them to jail. The boys who killed the husband have been out of jail for a while. Pam Smart. I don't know that one. Pam Smart. I don't know that one. Eric says, statistically speaking, it's a two-tier system. She'll be in jail for most of her natural life, but death won't be an option. She may not. The fact that she's only facing 2 charges it could be something like if she does not have a criminal record, no repeat offending, although the evidence says she is a repeat offender, but they haven't charged her in that way. Yeah, it could be something like 18 months suspended, something like that. Good behavior bond. Espionage said trauma, especially sexual trauma, is bad for both. Oh, I think definitely. I'm of the opinion that our justice system should be fair for both. And that if you sentence a male for the same crime, same charges, similar situation, that the same should be true for the female and vice versa. There should be no like discounts based on sex or victim, who the victim is. It should be like you're charged with that charge or you get that. Standard sentencing requirements. Gail has said there's even a film on her. I don't know that one. Pam, did you say Pam Smart? Pam Smart. Hold on. Pam Smart. Oh, is this the one they did that something about Pam? That drama series that came out? Same one or a different one? Let me go down to like media of it. Okay, no. It's a different Pam. Different Pam. Okay, I actually have never heard of this woman. I've never ever heard of this one. It's a little before my time in true crime. Looks like it all dates back to the mid to late 90s. Oh no, earlier than that. She was on trial in March of 1991. So this is dating back to like the late 80s. So who did she offend against? Who is her victim? So she was going to divorce her husband. Is that what she's going to do? Guys, give me a second. I need to cough. And then I keep trying to like not cough on the microphone and it makes it sound worse. Hold on. All right, there we go. There you go. You don't have to hear it now. Sorry about that. Oh, her husband. Okay. Okay, victim Gregory William Smart. He was age 24 at the time. Her criminal penalty, life in prison without the possibility of parole. And that the motive was so that she could be with an underage boy. Crazy. It's almost like a reverse of Gypsy Rose. You know Gypsy Rose? How she got a boy to kill her mum? It's almost sort of like the reverse. That this woman got a young boy to kill her husband. It's sort of similar, but not quite. Not a perfect comparison. So she was looking to she wanted to avoid an expensive divorce and she wanted to activate a $140,000 life insurance policy in the death of her husband. Okay. So so in 2023, she applied to have a commutation hearing, and it was denied. The governor of the state of New Hampshire denied her a commutation hearing. So I think that would have given her a parole date at some point. So at some point she would have got a parole date, meaning while her sentence would have said she had to life in prison, she would have been allowed to get out probably when she was like 85 or something. So 15-year-old student. Yeah, it's a little before my time. I don't know it. Don't remember it. I don't think I've ever watched a documentary or something on that one. Gail said, got her students to participate in shooting her husband. I'll have to research it after. It's one I haven't come across. I mean, I know the other one, the one that's like the one they made the documentary about, something about Pam or whatever it is, that came out like 2 years ago. I know that one. Hold on, guys. Sorry, I thought Mrs. Ping was home, and I was gonna go let her in, but it wasn't her. It was someone else. I don't know who it was. While we're having a short break, hey, I want to thank my friend Kathy Lynch. Kathy Lynch, thank you for the donation. I really appreciate it. That'll go towards the fund to go to the Samantha Murphy trial. I really appreciate it. That's what we're sort of fundraising at the moment, is to head to that trial in April. So I appreciate it. No, 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 no. It was she just got home, or she's supposed to be here in a minute. But I thought it was her, and I was gonna go let her in, but I went to the door and there was no one there. So it's not her. She'll probably be here in a minute though. Okay. Yeah, I'll research that one, that Pamela one, when we get off the air. It's not one that I've ever watched, and being that it was in the late 80s, early 90s, I was like 7 at the time, maybe 5 at the time. It's way before my time in true crime. I don't remember it, so I'm glad you guys do. But interesting. So maybe she was sort of like the archetype for women offenders back then. Although there's that other teacher, that female teacher, the one where it was her and the boy, and then she ended up having the babies to him. They ended up being together, even though they were banned from being together. And then I think she died like a number of years ago. So I um I know that one, just don't know this one. All right, let's move on. Enough bloody female teachers doing this type of stuff. I think we have another story that I want to do. I know you guys are all doing the Ohio dentist thing. I know everyone's really into that one. But I want to do a different one if I can get to it. All right. All right, I'm going to take you to Georgia, which we seem to do a lot of stories out of Georgia, out of 11 Alive. This guy's name is Rodriguez Fogel, and he was arrested at Doraville racetrack after a essay and stabbing at an East Point apartment. But wait till you hear how the woman got away.
Police are describing a brutal attack in East Point. Officers say a woman escaped a sexual assault jumping from a window with her children with a knife lodged in her head. East Point police say the suspect stabbed a woman and sexually assaulted her inside of an apartment on Harlan Drive on Thursday morning. Police say she managed to escape, grabbing her 2 children and jumping out of a window. Police have identified the suspect as Rodriguez Fogel. They say after the assault, he broke into a neighbor's apartment, pulled a knife on a second woman in front of her children, and demanded the keys to her car. Fogel was later arrested, found by Doraville police outside of a gas station. He is in jail facing several charges.
That's one of the craziest things I've ever heard, and I've done a lot of stories, thousands on this channel, almost on 1,000 live streams on this channel, and I think I've heard some pretty mental things. But this one, they arrested him for SA and stabbing a woman who reportedly survived having a knife lodged in her head. She had a knife sticking out of her head when they found her. The woman fled the apartment by jumping out of a window with her 2 small children. And they're saying a child who was in the apartment at the time of Thursday's incident said they witnessed Fogel attacking the victim, and they're saying here the child was struck in the head and suffered a laceration when they tried to intervene to save the mum. Jeez. Apparently, Fogel also took the victim's phone so they could not call authorities. Police said the assault continued with Fogel repeatedly stabbing the woman in the presence of her children and a neighbor. Fogel allegedly then entered another apartment where he put a knife to a second woman's back while demanding her car keys. That woman's children were also home at the time in the offending. Hours later, police found Fogel sleeping inside the stolen vehicle at a gas station in Doraville and placed him under arrest without incident. He's now in jail in Fulton County. Fogel is charged with aggravated assault, cruelty to children, armed robbery, home invasion, battery, terroristic threats, and acts. And he also has a active warrant out of DeKalb County. So he's going to probably go to DeKalb County afterwards after he serves out his sentence in this particular county. Sounds like he's fairly well known to the law. And yeah, he's had a those poor women being having a knife stuck out of your head. I don't know. She's a very brave lady, very brave. Let me see what else I can find about it. Can we find anything else about Rodriguez Fogel? I don't seem to be able to find anything else. The source of the information is either WLTX News or 11 Alive, which I think WTLX is 11 Alive. Either way, it's the same information. So, yeah. So when they took the woman to hospital, after she jumped from that window with a knife in her head, they ended up having to make her undergo emergency surgery to treat her injuries, and they also gave her a sexual assault forensic exam and collected evidence from her. So yeah, so he's facing a whole bunch of charges here. I'll put him in the chat so you guys can see. That's just from one day. This is just from this one incident. This is what he's facing. I can't believe what that woman went through to have a knife in your head. It's crazy. And then she jumped out of a window. So he's in Fulton County Jail, and he's being held without a bond at this point. I want to see if he's got a court day. I don't see a coming up court day for him, and I'm not sure why. Normally we get like an arraignment, and I don't see one. Let's have a look. Yeah, I'm not sure why, but there's no future court date for him. If I get one, I'll let you know, but there isn't one that I can see. Gail said the knife could have been pushed further in if she landed wrong. I don't think that was sort of her main worry. I think her main worry was to get away from him and protect her children. Like when she jumped out of the thing, she also took her children with her out of the window. So I think she was just trying to save them no matter what happened to her. All right. What else have we got? I think I've got something out of... Yeah, I've got something out of Bellington, Virginia. And this one is a woman has been arrested for hitting a child with a paddle and that she called it an attitude adjuster. So she would threaten her own children with a paddle that she called an attitude adjuster. Her name is Courtney Kreitz, and she's being held on a $100,000 bond of CA.
Now, moving on to some of the latest arrests in the area, a Barber County woman has now been charged with child abuse after police say she struck a child with a wooden paddle that she called the, quote, attitude adjuster. Courtney Kreitz of Belington was arrested after the Child Advocacy Center interviewed 5 minor children. Police say one child told authorities that Kreitz kicked, hit, and screamed at him. He also told police that if he doesn't, quote, do his clothes away the right way, Kreitz would use a paddle on him that she calls the attitude adjuster. On one occasion, the child reported that she pushed him outside in the freezing cold, striking him with this paddle when he came back inside, causing that paddle to break. Kreitz is now in the Tigert Regional Jail with her bond set at $100,000.
There are some crazy people in the world, and this woman might be one of the top 5. I actually fully believe that. So she's from West Virginia, and it says here she's charged with 3 counts of CA resulting in injury. And the boy told authorities that Courtney kicked him in the privates once, approximately 2 months ago. He also told investigators that when he does not put his clothes away the right way, she used the paddle called the attitude adjuster. This woman's a freak. According to records on another occasion, she pushed the boy outside in the freezing cold before letting him back in. She then allegedly hit him with the paddle hard enough to break it. Police said that when Courtney was mad, she would often walk past the child and kick him. Court documents said the boy was scared to death about possibly having to go back and live with her, and that now she's been booked into the Tigard Valley Regional Jail with a $100,000 bond. This woman, I wonder if it's redirected anger. I wonder if she's mad at the child's father, not the child, and that she takes it out on the child because she can't stand up for herself against the child's father. And I reckon that's what it is, because some of her behavior, like when she walks past the child, she just like kicks the child. That, I reckon it's because the kid reminds her of the child's dad, and that she is using misdirected anger and then abusing the child instead of, dealing with her problems with the child's dad. She seems like a real nasty piece of work. Really awful lady. Yeah, I might have some court documents if I can. Get this working. Hold on. Give me 1 second. No, I don't want to do that. All right. Nope. Sorry, you guys have to hear me try and make this work. All right, there we go. So this is a criminal complaint for Courtney Elizabeth Kreitz, and it has her address there. She lives at 94 Hoff Street in Bellington, West Virginia. And this all happened, they're saying, on the 1st of the 1st, 2026. And it says, see page 2. They say that she is a parent or guardian of the victim. Probable cause was located. And it says here some of the details related to the criminal complaint. And let's have a look. They said on January 1st, 2026, This officer was advised of a possible CA case that happened in Barber County, West Virginia. On this same date, the officer filed a CPS referral with CPS. On January 5th, 2026, this officer made contact with the Child Advocacy Center in Harrison County, WV, and scheduled the 5 minor children for interviews on January 8 and 9. On January 9, this officer reviewed most of the video footage from the interviews of the minor juvenile children belonging to Courtney. During the interviews, this officer observed the male juvenile to state that Courtney had kicked him, hit him, and screamed at him, advised that Courtney kicked him in the privates once, and continued to advise that when he did not do his clothes the right way, that she would use the paddle she called the attitude adjuster. The child described that Courtney had pushed him outside in the freezing cold, eventually letting him back in before striking him with the paddle, breaking it. The child described the injuries sustained from being hit as bruises on his shoulder, chest, and back, and that the bruises lasted a couple of months. Child continued to advise that when Courtney would get mad, she would walk past and kick him. Child advised that he was scared to death, thinking about maybe having to go back and live with Courtney. Child stated that in the above mentioned instance of being hit with the paddle, that Courtney broke the paddle by hitting him with it. Jeez. The child described the paddle in length, and he said with his hand showing it approximately 2 inches by 4 inches, and it was 2 feet in length. These events took place in Barber County, WV, in the residence of Courtney, where she resides with the minor children and her boyfriend, Mr. Cameron Lloyd. So maybe not the child's father, as it says her boyfriend, although people can have children and not be in a marriage, like we know that, but I know. Someone doesn't understand birth control, apparently. Yeah, I don't think she's the first. She's not got any original ideas, apparently. Everything she has is borrowed from something else. What a horrible lady. What a horrible woman. And these police documents prove it. Horrible. Why has tonight been so many stories like this? I feel like all our stories tonight were child related. At least a lot of them were. How terrible. Let me close down some of these. We have far too many tabs open. All right. That's all I have on that one. When Courtney heads back to court, I'll let you know. So I want to head to Florida to Bradenton. And this guy, so back in 2019, 18-year-old Jesus Molina was shot to death, and they found him lying in the 1200 block of 61st Street East in Palmetto. And I remember when this happened, it was a really big deal. And it was it was quite a big deal when this happened. And I think they even did some documentaries on it. Anyway, the person they believe was responsible is named Irving, and he's 27, but he went missing after the murders. But they have found him, was taken into custody in Mexico City on January 10th following a multi-agency investigation. Now he's heading back to Manatee County for trial. He will stand trial in Manatee County. So let me play this one to you.
Manatee County one step closer to closure for the family of Jesus Molina, the 2019 murder case, getting an update with the arrest of his shooter. And we are heading outside now to get an update. Juliana Narvaez in Manatee County with the latest. Juliana?
Yeah, good afternoon. So this was a multi-agency investigation that included the Manatee County Sheriff's Office and the FBI that led to his apprehension. A Palmetto man wanted in connection with a 2019 homicide has been arrested in Mexico. Irving Zuniga, 27 years old, was taken into custody in Mexico City on Saturday. He has been extradited to Florida, where he will be facing second-degree murder charges and is now booked in the Manatee County Jail. He's being held without bond. Zuniga is accused of shooting 18-year-old Jesus Molina in the head on June 29, 2019, after an argument. Detectives say Zuniga then transported Molina's body and left it along a roadside in Palmetto. Zuniga has evaded capture and fled to Mexico until now.
He knew that we were looking for him. There was an arrest warrant. There was information that was being shared. So this was not a surprise to him. He didn't think that he had gotten away with it. The cases like this sometimes take some time because we've got to be able to get across the border and start to talk to the authorities there.
And Zuniga is scheduled to appear in court this Friday. Reporting now live in Manatee County, I'm Juliana Narvaez for ABC 7, your local station.
So a 2019 homicide wrapped up now. That'll head to trial, and that is great news. It really is. To have the family of Jesus Molina just dangling in the wind for almost 7 years. I mean, it's nice to actually have that person, Irving Zuniga, actually arrested and now will be extradited back to Manatee County and will face trial. So that is perfect. Great news. That's a lot of work, a lot of effort too. Really, really good news from the authorities. Here, let me see if I've got another one for you on it. What's this one? Okay. All right. So I was going to see if there was any more, but I can show you the mugshot for Irving Zuniga. And here's his photo on the run since 2019 to evade capture in that murder. And you know what they say, the long arm of the law will eventually get you. And it seems like in this particular case, finally they did. And so he'll go on trial for murder. And what else is he charged with? Okay, he's being held with no bond right now. Investigators actually received information from someone dobbing him in and placing him in Mexico City. That's how they located him. So someone really wanted him off the street and actually called authorities and gave them the 411. We're like, hey, he's over here. Come and get him. So he's booked into jail on charges of second-degree murder, and he'll go to trial possibly later this year on those charges in Manatee County. So there you go. A lot of good updates today. Monday's been a busy day. I think we just did an hour and a half straight of different updates from your Monday. So I hope that was good. I hope you got, there's a lot of channels that just do the big stories like the dentist one or whatever. I try and bring you a little bit of everything so that you guys get up to date on all the crimes, not just the ones that are all super popular or whatever. I like to make sure that you have a well-rounded knowledge of what's going on in the world of true crime. So I think that's all we have for tonight. Yes. I think that's all of our updates for tonight. I love you all. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, I would appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button down below and the thumbs up. It helps me out. And if you're on the replay crew, leave a comment. It helps that algorithm out a lot, okay? Hey, I want to thank Danny for gifting a membership. That is very kind, Danny. Danny's also been a member for 17 months. Wow, I think he's one of our oldest members. How amazing is that? And for Carolina for the super chat. Carolina, I think we did that a couple of nights ago, and we talked about it quite a lot about the guy who did the grave robbing. So if you want to go and watch that, you can. Also, I want to thank my friend Kathy Lynch. Kathy Lynch, thank you so much. I'm glad your husband is healing and he is getting better from his surgery. Thank you for supporting the channel with a donation to the PayPal. All money that goes to either our super chats or our PayPal right now is going towards our fund so that we can head out to the Samantha Murphy trial in April in Ballarat in Victoria, Australia. So if you don't know what that is, it is a woman who went missing a couple of years ago. She went for a jog on a Sunday morning and disappeared into thin air. They have arrested a man. His name is Patrick Oren Stevenson, and he has been arrested for her murder. He will go on trial in April, and even though they don't have her body, but they expect that we're all going to lift the veil in April and find out exactly where they think she might be and what exactly happened to her. No one knows. No one knows exactly what happened to her that day, but we will find out at trial because they will have to give us the sort of evidence and their theory on what happened on that Sunday morning. So the mystery will hopefully be resolved in April, and I plan to be there to give you the best access to the trial that I can, just like we did with Aaron Patterson last year. We're going to do this year with Samantha Murphy. All right. I love you all. Have a good night out there. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night, everyone. Bye.